Welcome to the Children of the Light. I want to share with you guys today that our sin has consequences. So I'm gonna start from 2 Samuel chapter 11, verse 2. And it came to pass in an eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a beautiful woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman, and David sent his messengers and took her, and she came in unto him. And he lied with her, and she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. So what happened here is that David saw this woman and he lied with her, and this woman conceived. And so after this, the king, this woman had a husband. And so the king brought her husband to him. And the king ordered one of his servants to get her husband killed because his the lady was pregnant by David. So the lady's husband ended up dying. I want to go to verse 27. Verse 26. And when the wife of Ezra heard that Ezra, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. So her husband was killed, and she mourned for her husband. And let's go to verse 27. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife, and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. So, our sin has consequences. So I want to go to 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, There was two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing save one little lamb, which he brought and nourished up, and it grew together with him and with his children. And it did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his own bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there was and there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and his own herd, to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb, and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, As the Lord liveth, the man that had done this thing shall surely die. The man that had done this thing shall surely die. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, Thou art the man. Thus said the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel. I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. I gave thee thy master's house, and thy master's wife into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I moreover had given unto thee such and such things. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Azarah the Hittite with sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword, and the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Azarah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise evil against thee out of thine own house. I will take thy wives from thy eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun. So we see that our sin has consequences. Verse 13. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, The Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great accusation to thy enemies of the Lord to blaspheme. The child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. And Nathan departed unto his house. And the Lord struck the child that Azarah's wife bore unto him, and it was very sick. And David therefore besought God for the child. And David fasted, and went in, and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose, and went to him, and raised him from the earth. But he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead, for they said, Behold, the child was yet alive. We spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? So, we see that our sin has consequences. David had a son, and his son got very sick because of his sin, and his son died. So, the servants were scared to tell the king that your son died. So yes, our sin has consequences. God hates sin. He he is not one who agrees with sin. I want to turn to Psalm chapter 5. Give ear to my words, this is verse 1. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my meditation. Hearken unto the voice of my cry. My King, my God, for unto thee will I pray. My voice shalt thou hear in the morning, O Lord. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee. I will look up, for thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness, neither shall evil dwell with thee. The foolish shall not stand in thy sight. Thou hatest all workers of iniquities. So you see in verse 4 it says, For thou art not a God that hath pleasure in wickedness. God hates sin. So his son ended up dying, and the servants told him, yes, he is dead. So, his wife was weak for their son. So, our sin has consequences. As I close out this video, I want to go to Deuteronomy chapter 27. In chapter verse 2 it said, All these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God. So if we listen to the Lord and if we obey his commands, he will bless us. But if we do not listen to his commands, he will curse us. So we need to obey his voice. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day.